Welcome back to the Maven Show. This is your host Rohit. Today we have Lynn, the founder and CEO of Petite to Queen, sales strategist, and podcast host. Thank you, Lynn, for getting into the show.
I am so excited to be here. Thank you so much for asking me. It's such a privilege and honor.
Would you just like to give a quick intro first?
So business owners and entrepreneurs hire me to ignite winning sales because most are lacking client conversions. They are chasing down clients and they're lacking that all-important sales profit. And I started in sales way back when I was a girl selling Girl Scout cookies. After college, I actually just sort of fell into sales, climbed the corporate ladder, and soon I was executive, high-level executive in sales, and literally being flown all over the world to help other sales and sales teams close multi-million-dollar deals. And then that in turn led to my starting my own business in sales consulting and sales strategy, Petite to Queen.
You said you have the 4 golden sales pillars, like how to explain these.
Okay, well, let's start with client thinking. That's truly the very first place that you need to start with. And the key here is to think like the client means, what do they want, need, or lack? What's a problem they're trying to solve, an area of concern that they have to address? What's in it for them? Why does it matter? So they can what? And that is a big thing. And then you then after you've looked at that, then you reverse engineer your product and service and see how that aligns with your client. The next step is to create your ideal client avatar. Now, obviously from that first exercise, you have a clear idea, and also with your own product or service, who those people are that your service is designed for, who you normally work with. But having really assessed what they want, need, or lack, why it matters to them, and who they are, and so they can, it really helps you revisit that ideal client avatar and put a much deeper parameters around that. Demographics is all fine and good, but you really need to get into the psychographics. Those are behavioral, and those don't change over time. They're pretty consistent. And that's where you truly then create the languaging so that you can attract, and connect with those people. And through that process, then you go back and you look at your client thinking, and that way you can create your messaging and how that aligns with your ideal client avatar. And then from there, you're really looking at the client journey, that wherever that initial place of spark is, that you make that initial connection. And you look at those things, and you will discover that there are some activities that you're doing that aren't really producing results. Now, it could be because you're not using the right messaging or the right content to attract them. But there will be other things that are performing well. So then that helps you streamline your activity, and then also look from that initial connection, what's the journey like for that client? You want to create a delightful journey, and you want to be answering their client why all the way through that journey. So how do you welcome them? What type of value are you delivering? Those surprise bonuses that makes them just be raving fans. And then, of course, worthy intent is the core foundation of building strong, healthy, lasting relationships, not just in sales, but in every aspect of business and your personal life. And that the core is to genuinely care and be curious about the other person. That's that client thing. What do they want, need, or lack? Why does it matter to them? But it also means, listening more than you talk. And that's a very key part in sales.
Yeah.
Because when you listen, your clients will actually tell you everything that you need to know.
Yeah.
So but worthy intent means that you're also looking for a win-win. You're not going to pursue that client if they are not a good fit for you, or if you are not a good fit for them. And I want to say that's a two-sided equation.
Yep.
Just because somebody may want to work with you, if they're not a good fit for you, then they can become a relationship, a professional relationship, a They could become a partner or a promoter, but they're probably not a good fit for you to continue to do business with or to start doing business with. So I always say there's 5 things that your client needs to say heck yes to for them to be a good fit for you. And if they don't have those 5 things, you'll end up spending a whole lot of time with that client rather than it becomes like they're like a problem child and you're spending all this time and energy there instead of where there is that win-win and both sides work.
What things we should know before closing the high ticket sales?
The key thing about closing high ticket sales is, once again, it's that win-win. And when you listen more than you talk, you discover what is going on in their world and what they really need and want, and they will tell you the best way to work with them.
Yep.
There's pretty much 4 core personality codes, and there's a lot of different ways to look at this. But you can use that information to identify, what are the types of things that matter to them and are important to them. So some people really like to see process maps. They want to understand the journey. They want to understand all the steps that they're going to go through. Other people just really want to know that this is going to be quick and fast and it's going to work for them, right? And there are other people who really want to get into the theory and the methodology behind it. And other people are more concerned about, that community and how you make them feel and how they feel about you.
Yeah.
So really diving into those things, and also knowing your own personality code and those of your team can also help you identify if someone else's, the potential client, is really out of sync, truly out of sync, that they may not be a good fit because of that. And once again, you're going to be spending a lot of time and energy for that. It depends on what you're doing, but on a high ticket sales, it's normally a longer term relationship.
Yeah.
You're there to create impact for them, for their business, for them personally, for their team members, for their community. And that's not something that's going to be done in 1 to 2 weeks. It's a longer term relationship. So really understanding those components helps you really assess if they're a good fit for you and you're a good fit for them, because you want to have clients who are thrilled and delighted with you.
Yeah.
That will provide you with testimonials, the reviews, referrals, and become your raving fans. And that means that they have to be a good fit for your product or service so that you can deliver that wow experience and get the results that they need. And many B2C, depending, especially if you're doing like personal coaching, personal development, they aren't considered a B2B. They're sort of a quasi, sort of halfway in between each one. They're still long-term relationships. I've worked with my business coach for 6 years.
How to master the high ticket sales?
Really understanding your sales strategy is the key to actually being successful in sales, because first of all, most people are going to require quite a bit of outreach and follow-up to move forward, so you can guide them to the sale and then you can begin the relationship. And when you develop a sales strategy, you know what they want, need, or lack, what matters to them, why it's important, and then you can create that journey along those lines. And that includes not only the outreach, but the follow-up, which are very interconnected, so that you're following up in a way that adds value to the discussion, that helps push them forward to the next step and the next stage. And even when they ghost you, they don't respond or don't reply, you're still delivering that value. So, because people get busy, timing is everything. And then the 3rd or the 4th or the 5th, 6th outreach, follow up, they come back and go, okay, yeah, let's talk, let's get together again and talk about the next steps. And that's a very important thing in high ticket sales. You have to recognize that very few people, usually it's 20% or less, are literally ready to buy right in that moment. And those people who are really high action like that, they also can get easily distracted. They can constantly be chasing shiny objects, and they can be difficult to work with to actually make consistent long-term progress, because they have that, it's almost like attention deficit disorder. So just being aware of that, and then how you work with them is important so that they can be successful. Actually, you're building a relationship with them.
Yeah.
All right. And those building blocks are establishing what it's going to be like to work with you.
Yeah.
Your credibility, your reliability, how you approach things, and they can see that consistency. And that also creates a confidence that you are the right person for them to be working with you. That you're not a one and done. You know, you're actually going to be there with them and working with them to be successful.
Any best advice for anyone who is getting started with the high ticket sales?
Well, my best advice is actually to tune into my TV show, Get More Clients, where I train on sales strategy every single week. You can catch the show live, and you can actually come on afterwards, which is not on air, but it's a Q&A. So you can ask me anything. And that would be my advice. It streams on Apple TV, Amazon Fire, and Roku. But to join the show live, you go to the Win-Win Women network, Win-Win Women, and you can go live on my show 2 minutes basically before I start. And that is a great way to sort of get that foundation of your sales strategy. You know, if you're, and of course you can work with me.
So much, Lynn, for getting into the show. And I think audience will obviously love the insights for the high ticket sales, and it will obviously help a bunch of people for go out into the sales, So thank you so much for having in.
All right. Thank you so much, Rohit. I really appreciate the opportunity.